Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Madam Web. And this is the latest of Sony's spin-offs of their Spider-Man universe, setting up villain and supporting character films because why not? And apparently they thought that making a Madam Web film was a good idea. And this is from director S.J. Clarkson and like 4 other writers. And this tells the story of Cassandra Webb, who is a paramedic and realizes that she can start warping through time and must save 3 young women who are going to be Spider Women from some evil dude who's just evil for the sake of it. But we'll get to that in a minute. This film is rough. It is bad. It is not a good movie. From the very start, the opening sequence, you realize there's a whole bunch of things that are not working for this film. One, the camera movement is so clunky and awkward, and it was hurting my eyes to watch. The editing was so obnoxiously fast and choppy and awkward that it was also hurting my eyes. And that's something that continued throughout this whole entire film. And never once did I get through a scene where I'm like, wow, my eyes don't hurt. And that is not a good thing. This is like how they set up this 2-hour movie. It's edited to pieces. It's so poorly shot. It looks awful. And even when it's trying to be like, ooh, we're doing something interesting with the camera, it's so mishandled that it's just awkward. There's so many sequences that make absolutely no sense. The logic of this film goes out the window. You have superpowers when it's convenient. You have villain powers when they're convenient. You have this machine. Because like this takes place in like 2003, and they're trying to keep track of these women through like face recognition of all kinds of whatever the hell. And it only works when the plot needs it to work. So none of this stuff is working well. And the dialogue is atrocious. It sounds like somebody who was like 10 years old wrote the most obvious, clunky, awkward, and weird dialogue. The exchanges between these quote-unquote human beings, not great. It is awkward, it's weird, it's just so off-putting and doesn't make any sense. You have this main character played by Dakota Johnson who is aggressively unlikable. Dakota Johnson really struggles in this to bring any kind of measurable charisma to make Cassie Webb anything other than completely insufferable and somebody who I want to legitimately see off screen. And by the end, I did not buy her whole journey at all. It's just nothing worked about it. And then you have these 3 young women played by really talented Sydney Sweeney, Isabella Merced, Celeste O'Connor. Each of them are paper-thin, written, clunky, dialogue-saddled damsels in distress. And it's just like, nothing's interesting about them. You have Adam Scott, who plays Ben Parker, who for some reason is in this movie, and then you have others like Emma Roberts, who's playing Mary Parker, and alluding to obnoxiously about her unborn child. We don't know who their name is, but obviously we do. It's Peter Parker. This ham-fisted incorporation into the greater Spider-Man universe made absolutely no sense. And Tahar Rahim, who plays Ezekiel Sims, it's one of the worst performances I've seen from any villain in any movie. And the dialogue, his voice, everything sounds absolutely atrocious. This film, even when it's trying to do action, has no life to it. This movie just feels like it's a bunch of random things strung together. And it teases you with a much more interesting story of these 3 young women being mentored by Madam Web, only to be like, well, maybe next time. But good thing you had to sit through all of this complete and utter nonsense that made no sense and had nothing going for it. And in the end, unfortunately, this is just a film that didn't work at all. And it just, I would never want to watch this again. I hope that they stop making these weird villain supporting character movies about Spider-Man's universe with no Spider-Man in it. And why did this exist? I have no idea. But I hope no more exist after it. But those are my thoughts on Madam Web. Let me know what you think and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.